everybody, Darcizzle here, of course, and today I've got a special treat for you. I've got an absolutely monstrous amberjack that we caught offshore, and this fish is over 50 pounds. Stud reef donkey is what you would call this fish. And so we've got fish for days. I'm going to show you exactly how I like to clean a larger fish using my Smith fillet knives today. We're going to be using the 9-inch boning knife, also known as the Edge Sport, and the 7-inch Lawaya, which is perfect for filleting fish. I'm going to show you exactly how. Don't forget about promo code DARCIZZLE15 for 15% off plus free shipping on these tools we're going to use here. Here we go. I'm going to use a 9-inch because this fish is bigger and the boning knife is perfect to cut through this big piece of meat and fillet off this whole bad boy. So I'm going to use a slightly different technique, like I told you, on filleting bigger fish. Right behind the pec fin, all the way up into the head. And you can just feel as you go along where you can cut into. And then we're just going to go right down his back, just like any other fish I would do. You see a sharp knife gets the job done quick. Go right through the tail. And then what I like to do, still with the same 9-inch boning knife, I can get in there, stay right on his backbone and his bones. And then right before I get to the spine bone, we're going to do something slightly different. Okay, so we've already filleted up. Wow, he looks gorgeous. We're going to have so much meat. We're going to be feeding so many people. It's epic. All right, so now that we have that done, next step is take the same knife right where the pec fin is. Now this technique is going to be great for a lot of different species, not just amberjack, but right where that is, we're just going to go straight down this line, okay? Basically line it up with his pec fin. And we're going to cut as close to his spine bone as possible, breaking and separating the top loins from the bottom loins. All the way down. Okay, now that is cut and sliced through. Now we have a manageable piece of meat that we can use, but basically any fish, I would say over 20 pounds, like a nice mahi, dolphin fish, maybe a nice tuna, any of those types of species, this technique is great to use. All right, now that top loin, let's break through the pin bones right here, and it's gonna break away. And I know you guys are gonna ask me, do they have worms? Yes, amberjacks are known to have worms. Tapeworms are what they're called, or spaghetti worms, and that's just a common thing. Actually, a lot of fish have parasites, so I'm gonna do my best to cut it out, but actually just looking at that top loin, it doesn't look too bad at all. There's the worms, usually in the tail section of that fish, and you can clearly see worms, and I'll show you right here on the carcass too, you can see worms. Now we're taking that same knife and we're going down the bottom loin. You can see that's where all the worms were, all these white parts. And then slap it off. So that just makes your life so much easier, breaking it up into two manageable sections. Oh, this is a big fish. Sharp knife gets the job done correctly, of course. You never want to use a dull knife. But we've got our two loins right next to each other. And like again, those are the worms. Let's see if we can pull one out. Just tapeworms totally embedded in the meat, but they're harmless to humans, okay? So if you ever catch an amberjack and you want to eat it, go ahead and eat it. It's a very delicious fish. It almost got outfished back 30, 40 years ago until they put restrictions on amberjacks. Okay, so now that we got our loins broken up, this is so much easier to manage. Next step is to just break it up into sections that we can easily skin through. So we're not going to go down the whole pipe. We're just going to basically break it into sections based on thickness. So since this tail meat is pretty engulfed in worms, we're going to cut that to the side, and then we're just going to break it into sections. These are all the edible pieces. Okay, now we got 4 delicious, gorgeous amberjack loins. Last step, which is pretty easy. Now I'm using the 7-inch Lawaya, and we're just going to take the skin right off. Now you can leave the skin on if you're going to cook it on the grill, do whatever you like, but we're going to be removing the skin from these gorgeous loins. Keep it up a little bit so you leave a lot of that bloodline on the meat, on the skin. This fish was bled, but check out those gorgeous loins right there. Doesn't get much better. All right, so that's basically how you fillet a larger fish. Hope you guys learned a trick or two there. I'm gonna do what you just saw, finish up the other side of this fish, get all these things in a bag, and we're gonna be feeding the whole entire neighborhood with this fish. So thank you guys for joining along. Gonna link the information down below on the tools I'm using today, these awesome sharp knives. Thanks for watching, and until my next how to fillet video, follow your dream and keep on catching.